everyone, and welcome to another episode of Disqualified. I am your NXT predictions champion, Trevin, joined as always by our main roster predictions champion, Caleb.
Hola.
And Zach, as always, is behind the camera, our lovely cameraman and producer.
And we are here to talk about NXT. I believe you said that already.
I don't think I did.
I don't know.
Well, if you didn't know, NXT.
Yeah, NXT. This was...
The action was good. The promo segments were let's set up 90 B plots.
Yeah. It is a new year in NXT. It very much seems. Even though the new seasons start in September.
Mm-hmm.
But we saw a official signing for tournament matches and a decent six-man tag.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's the segments were kind of we saw a segment with the family. We saw...
I love my Italian Mafia show and my wrestling show.
Yeah, but, let's get into action. This is a weird, slow start. I don't know what's happened.
To begin the night, we get a banner of a match to see who qualifies for the Fatal 4-Way, to see who faces the NXT Women's Champion at Evolution.
So the first match is Jada Parker versus Thea Hale.
This match was a banger.
Yeah.
Great way to open the show.
So halfway through the match, we see Jada go for the hypnotic into the stairs. Thea moves out the way, but a majority of this match saw Thea working on the arm and trying to get that Kimura in, and then she gets that Kimura in for a long time.
Yes. Jada goes for a rope break, gets the rope break. Thea immediately as soon as she's off the ropes, immediately gets back to the Kimura. Jada goes to try to bane Thea on the turnbuckle. Thea loosens the grip a little bit, immediately back on.
Yep, and then repeat that twice over. Then we get Jada moving to the center of the ring.
Yep. Takes a knee and
taps.
Yep, but out of sight of the ref. So Thea feels the tap, starts celebrating, and the ref's like, "Why are you celebrating? Why are you celebrating?"
Yeah, he's like, "There was no tap. I didn't see a tap. There was no tap."
Yep.
And while she is arguing with the ref, Jada, hypnotic.
1, 2, 3.
Now that was inside of the ref.
Yeah.
But no, it was a great match.
Ending left a question mark.
I liked the ending.
Yes.
I don't think the ending was a botch. No. That's how it was supposed to be.
Yes, but it's like the ref was clearly at a vantage point where he could see the tap, but like another thing too is like I get Jada's a tweener internally, but it's like, does this mean she's going full-blown heel soon, or?
This might be a bit of a weird take. I don't believe taking cheap shots makes you a heel.
No, that's fair.
Like, baby faces don't go for them. Not saying that they've never gone for them. Cody. Cody a lot.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, no, taking a cheap shot doesn't make you a heel. I think, hey, you're distracted. Your eyes are off the ball. And my finisher just so happens to be perfect position for you right now.
Yeah, but it's like, this is the dirtiest win Jada has gotten in a while. Like, a lot of her more recent fights have been clean finishes. Like the dirtiest she's played is in that Extreme Rules match against Lola Vice, but that's because it's an Extreme Rules match. both people are playing dirty. But it's like, past that, all her fights have been decently clean, so this teases a potential character change, but it's like, it was weird because it came out of nowhere.
Most stories start out of nowhere.
That's true.
You know, you're used to stories being built up over time because of when you came into wrestling.
Yeah.
I'm used to stuff just happening.
Yeah.
Bro, Chris Jericho and Kane got into a feud because Chris Jericho spilled coffee on Kane.
I mean, that is a dick move.
It was an accident.
Oh,
But it's Kane.
it was Kane.
I mean, I forget the feud, and like this is just a different thing, but just weird feuds involving Kane. Funnily enough, the Shane McMahon feud where he electrocuted Shane's testicles on TV. that was a sight. That was a sight. Young me, I was like, wow.
Yes, but another qualifier for that Fatal 4-Way is right after this, as we see Lash Legend versus Kalani Jordan.
And this match cooked.
Injected into my veins.
I'm really liking Lash as a single star.
Yeah. Finally gets her own theme too.
Finally gets her own theme too. Like I said, the entrance is amazing. It's amazing. It is very just, I'ma flash my shit. It's very much just that.
Yeah.
The jacket's nice. Kalani comes out, and we pretty much just get a brawl for most of it.
Yes. The story of this match was, Lash using the size advantage to just toss Kalani around, and Kalani using the fact that she's smaller to bob, weave, get in nooks and crannies for certain grapples.
Yeah, it was very David and Goliath.
Yes.
Very David and Goliath.
But unlike the Bible.
Yeah. Because Lash just squishes Kalani.
Yes. So she hits her finisher of basically sort of putting them in a sort of reverse crucifix where, like, with a crucifix, normally it's the person putting them in the crucifixion pose. I call this a reverse crucifix because the person in the crucifixion pose is doing the damage as she squeezes Kalani along her back and then just falls backwards.
Yep. In 1, 2, 3.
Yep. And I'm like, that looked like it hurt.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, so like I said, I thought the finisher was going to be great when you actually see it as it was intended to be seen. But yeah, that finisher looks insane. It looks like it hurts. I would not want to take that.
Nope.
Just me.
Nope, not only is she basically popping every knuckle in your spine,
Yeah.
like no more air pockets in the spine, then she just decides, and I fall back on top of you.
Yeah, and now we're going to fall back on everyone's favorite
Soap opera.
soap opera, Italian mob boss drama,
Yep.
The Family.
Yep. Tony comes out and is like, Luca, I want you out here. And
No, here's the thing. He is standing backstage waiting, and he is looking very upset and intense. Like, he's not even staring at the camera. He's like staring at, like, just beyond the camera, down below on the ground. And then we hear Luca, and Luca's like, yeah, no, don't worry about it. It's fine. And he hangs up the phone. And Tony goes, so where have you been? You know what? I want to see you out in the ring.
Yep.
And then he invites him out. It was just a very interesting opening. Why not just go out to the ring in the first place?
Yeah, he's like, and to summarize it, Tony's basically like, Luca, I want you to be honest, and being a mob boss, basically, I can tell a lot from people's eyes, so I want you to look me dead in the eye,
Mm-hmm.
and say you are not working alongside Stacks. Luca goes to answer, but Stacks' music hits.
Yeah, and Stacks comes out and he says, "Look, I gave you a chance when I let you leave the desert
To get out of this business.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, but, you decide you just can't leave anything alone. You're already in too deep, so now time for consequences. And Stacks and his 3 goons go to attack. Tony cleans the goons out, but Stacks is able to get a grapple on Tony. Luca goes to help Tony out, but Stacks ducks, and Tony eats a sucker punch right to the jaw.
I am not lying when I say, like, as soon as this started to get good, my feet cut.
Bruh.
And I legit come back to Tony on the ground from getting hit. And I'm like, you're telling me my feet cut for the whole purpose of the segment. I missed the whole segment because my Wi-Fi said, "Nah, I work today." I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Spectrum.
Yeah, but next we get a little backstage segment where Trick is warming up for the 6-man tag later tonight. And then First Class come into shot, and Trick's like, "All right, you boys hyped up." And Top, formerly known as Top Dollar, I forget his new name.
AJ Francis,
Yeah.
He says, "Now look, unfortunately, KC here hurt himself training, so he can't really join."
We down a man, and Trick is like, "You telling me this now when our match is in like 15 minutes?"
Yeah.
And AJ's like, no, don't worry. Because First Class doesn't make problems. We solve them. Mm-hmm. So we talked with some other members of the locker room, and we got ourselves a replacement. And he points to off camera. We pan to that side of the shot.
And it is Wesley Lee.
Yep. And Trick and Wes just have a little stare down for a good 5 seconds because we're like, oh, these two have history.
And in a very WWE move, in a very wrestling move, they make up just like that.
Yeah. Trick is like, look, I get we have history. Like, you are probably the last person that probably wants to help me after, I lost my title and that stint in the locker room where I punch you. But look, I'm sorry. I was tripping. That's my bad. But now I got gold back on me, so we all good. And Wes is like, sure, we all good.
Yeah, and he's like, other than these men here, know the most about TNA. So
Yep.
He understands what the belt means, and he said it's good to see it on a real superstar.
Yep. So Wes is filling in for KC in the 6-man tag we will see later tonight.
Yep.
Yep.
And now,
Continuing in the promo montage.
Kale Dixon and Uriah Connors finally are giving Chase U a proper run of it.
Yep, they're
proper college try.
They're in class on time. They have notebooks prepped and everything. They brought calculators. They brought their textbooks.
And it's like a good mid-2000s movie. Montage!
Yep.
Get a montage of them studying and answering questions, asking questions.
Yep. And Chase and Mr. Chase is, giving a little lesson, giving a speech, and Kale has a question. So he raises his hand.
Yep. And
Chase ignores him.
Yep. Chase just blows over him.
Yep.
And then Kale goes asking another question, and Chase just blows over him again. And then he goes to ask another question, and he goes, "This is a teachable moment." He said, "You got to know that life is not going to treat you easy and it's going to walk over you." He said, "And you got to be tough." Because
And
they believed it.
yeah, and Kale and Uriah decide to dip, with Uriah looking at Chase being like, and we thought.
He's like, not cool.
Yeah.
And
And
then Chase just goes, what the fuck?
yeah. And it's seemingly that Kale and Uriah are leaving Chase U after being the main pinnacles of its revival.
What the fuck is going on? What is going on? I'm not too quick to be like, oh, they're leaving. I think they're gonna do like a, oh, come back. We'll do it a mix of both of our ways. We have to be a new united Chase U.
Yeah,
I can see that very much happening.
probably. But now we cut to the normal backstage, not the classroom.
Yeah, and it is more faction drama.
Yep. As, Javon's just making his rounds around the back, talking with people, and he runs into his favorite team he loves to instigate drama with.
And QCC. And we see Ren, Charlie, and Tavion. No, Ren, Tavion Heights. Charlie comes in later.
Yep.
And as soon, they just like have like a little, like, oh, you know how tough conversations with Charlie are.
Yep. And Javon's like, maybe Charlie just needs a hug.
Yeah. And so we see Charlie enter screen. And he's like, Javon is like, look, bro, Tavion wants out. He said it once, he said it twice. He wants out.
Why don't you just let him?
And Charlie goes, okay, look, I'll make you a deal.
Because you want to keep getting in our business.
How about you versus him next week? If he wins,
I'll let
he's
him
out.
leave.
If he beats you, he's out. But if you win, he stays. And Javon goes, nah, look, I can't let that happen. And why not? Why not just finger poke of doom? Come on, just Tavion walk up, make it like a, are we ready to go? Circle around.
Kind of like the New Day spot.
Circle around, do a bit of like technical stuff, and then finger poke of doom. Tavion's out.
Yeah, but I feel like the reason why Javon's not just going to like give Tavion the freebie is because it is a story with Javon of he is after some form of singles gold, whether it be the NA title or the NXT title.
And every win counts.
Every win matters on your resume to get back in that title scene.
Yep, and speaking of a match that had a unforeseen title consequence,
Yes, we have Inamura and Briggs and Elijah.
get ready to walk with Elijah.
Yes. Versus your TNA World Champion Trick Williams, Wesley,
And AJ Francis, formerly known as Top Dollar, as Corey Graves does call out in the match.
yes. And we almost actually get a rerun of the Flop Dollar spot.
I love it. It's one of my favorite spots he does, where he just goes to do a suicide dive and just goes, nah.
I got your...
Like, you won't see me fail.
Yeah, he goes for one of those spots after Wesley does a suicide somersault to the outside. Wesley does get caught. AJ goes to assist him by going for a suicide dive. And he's like hyping up the crowd, being like, I'm gonna finally do it. I'm gonna finally do the spot. Goes for it. I got you. And then as soon as he finishes doing the full 360, I got you. He is met with two big boots.
Yep. Two big boots. And
I died of laughter.
we're getting towards the end of the match.
Yep.
And
Everyone's throwing what they got. Trick is throwing jumping knees. Briggs is tossing people around like ragdolls. Elijah's going for some more strikes. And finally, it is down to just Trick in the ring, and where's the legal man for the other
He's
side?
up on the top rope, shaking that hoe, cause it's fucking Inumura!
Yep. Big Briggs shoots at Trick to get him on the ground for his good old buddy and partner to get his spot in. Whee!
Curse Blunch, 1,
2,
2,
3. Inamura pins the TNA World Champion.
I used to pray for times like these. My boy did it. But in the backstage segment, Josh Briggs is like, look, that is really freaking cool what you just did. You just pinned the TNA champion. This could have title ramifications. You got to think bigger.
Yep,
And
and
Inumura
Inamura's-
goes,
No. The TNA title isn't in my vision. It's not on my checklist. So, as your buddy, I'm going to give the shot to you. You're the one who put him on the ground after all.
and
The goat.
next week for the TNA World title, Trick Williams takes on Josh Briggs.
Yep. And Inumura says, however, I'm not gonna give up my shot on gold. I'm gonna see if I can get an NXT title shot.
Yeah, because he does by way of, WWE way. He's earned himself a title shot.
Yeah.
I guess any title works.
He's on a winning streak. He's pinned a champion that is current champion and former NXT champ. Oh, but doesn't have a current challenger, as his last challenger is taking a pause.
Okay, well, Trevin,
What?
read to me the thing that's in between the
Yeah.
the 6-man and the thing that we just covered.
Yeah.
Oh.
Stacks and Noam Dar have a match for the Heritage Cup next week, but the family member who signed off on it is a mystery. As
Oh, okay. You wrote that.
it was a funky segment.
No. You wrote sign Y
Signee.
signing. Oh, sign. Isn't that with 2 E's?
You're asking the dyslexic to spell?
I thought it was with 2 E's.
I don't know.
And then that does not look like is. You wrote an uppercase B.
We're not a grammar channel, we're a wrestling channel.
I'd like to roast him any chance I get.
Yeah.
That is a B.
Wait, where?
You can't even tell. Signy mystery between that. You're telling me that word is.
Yeah.
That's a B.
Listen, again I say, you can write every once in a while. Why am I always the one that has to write the board and get flack for it?
Okay, I'll write it for SmackDown. And then you'll see why I don't write the board.
Exactly.
Alright. But hey, we're finally getting the Heritage Cup on our screens. And it just rings true. They're listening to us. Every time we bring something up,
Yeah,
it
but
happens.
the reason why this is brought about is because Tony wants Stacks again ASAP, and he wants it next week, and Ava's like, no, Stacks has already got a match, and a member of the family has already signed off on it.
His consigliere. And
No,
if you don't know,
it's not revealed to be Luca. It's a question mark. Some people are saying it's Rizzo that okayed it.
I wasn't gonna say who did it. I was saying if you don't know, the role of Luca is Tony's consigliere.
Yeah.
No, I think it might be Rizzo that signed off on it.
But
if
no.
not, I'm thinking the original dude that they got rid of when it was a 3-man group. I don't know. I just think that'd be funny.
That would be.
But now we move on to our last 2 matches, and our last segment. We're in the last third of the show.
Yep.
We get Izzy Dame versus Zarya for the
Third spot.
third spot in the Fatal 4-Way match. And this match was probably the mehest of them all.
Yeah.
It was good,
Yeah.
but it didn't cook.
No, yeah.
But at the end, we do see a sighting from someone that I really like.
Yeah.
So
You know, yeah, so Soul being the tag partner is trying to, like encourage Zarya, possibly re-pep her up, and both them get distracted by Tatum Paxley, a fan favorite here, going in for a hug on Soul.
Yep, making Soul scream. Zarya takes her eye off the ball, saying, "What's going on? What was that for?" And then we get a what do they call Izzy's finisher?
I don't know.
Izzy hits like a sit out spine buster for the 1, 2, 3,
Yup.
which very surprising, and I called it. I said the only way Izzy wins
Is
if
with
Tatum cost Zarya the match.
yeah. Tatum just needed a hug.
Not the way I thought Tatum was going to cost Zarya the match.
No. No alliances yet.
We do see right after this, because we go to commercial after this, when they get back. Oh, no, wait. Nope, we go to the next match.
Yeah.
That is right before the last segment of the night.
Yeah.
So, it is our, technically our main event, but it's not the main event.
No.
So, I'll save it for the last segment.
Yes.
It is our fourth and final qualifier for the Fatal 4-Way that's going on next week.
Yes. To
It
see
is-
who will face currently asterisk JC Jane.
Card subject to change.
Yes.
It
At Evolution.
is Jordan Grace versus Lola Vice. And this match hooked.
Yup.
Lola striking and taking out big points of strength. Arms,
Yep.
legs, and back.
Yup. She knows what to target. After all, she was on the amateur MMA scene.
Yeah, and then Jordan trying her best to fight with weaker.
With weaker limbs.
Yeah, there's bigger controversy in this match. Fire Deaf Rebel chants.
Yeah, as they have changed Jordan Grace's theme from her TNA theme with the famous and very recognizable sirens to a classic drum beat Death Rebel is known for. And sounds like every other generic Death Rebel theme.
No, it was not Ixnay on the sound effect in the beginning. There is a new sound effect. Do you know? Did you hear it?
Nope.
A foghorn?
That's pretty much it. And then we get Jordan Grace's theme, which I didn't hear it at first because when they're talking commentary, like when they're entering,
Yeah, no, I did not recognize that there was even a horn.
I heard the new theme at the end of the match, and I was like, "That's not her theme."
No.
I was like, "Whose theme is that?"
Yes.
Now,
Now,
that does give away the winner. Jordan Grace does advance.
yes.
Pulling out of beast mode.
Yep, for the 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, and we have the Fatal 4-Way set. It is Izzy Dane, Jordan Grace, Kalani Jordan, or no, Lash Legend,
Yep.
and Jada Parker.
Yeah.
That's gonna cook.
Yee.
That's gonna cook. Now, who do you have moving on?
I have Jada. No.
don't let my reaction sway your mind.
No, order of most to least likely. Jada, I have most. Lash, Izzy, Grace.
Yeah, so I have Lash, Grace, Jada, Izzy. I think Lash takes it.
Yeah.
I think you give. They're very high on Lash Legend.
Yeah, they
Give
are.
her the spotlight at Evolution.
Yeah.
The reason why I have Grace at number 2 is because Grace is going to be featured very heavily when she gets to the main roster.
Mm-hmm.
So why not just
Build up her name more.
build up her name more and put her on the Evolution card? But I don't think Izzy moves on. And I think Jada could use the spot. I think she would actually excel with the spot. It's just I don't think they're going in that direction. But yeah.
Yeah. And now,
Our main event of the evening. It is a contract signing.
yeah, for the recently signed talent of Blake Monroe.
And we see her enter via the parking lot. We see her taking a photo op. And then we see the fallout of the third one-on-one match tonight with Zarya asking Tatum why she did that. And Tatum saying, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cost you. Sol said, yeah, I know. Izzy comes in saying, you shouldn't listen to them because they're not your friends. Izzy leaves, and then she says, they leave you out their TikToks. I wouldn't leave you out, and then leaves. And then Tatum, exit screen, immediately after following Izzy, and Zarya pushes the Barbie doll out the way as Blake Monroe makes her on-screen
She comes into camera shot.
It's a very specific shot they do. It's like a shot before their entrance. It's like an entrance tease.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get the intro. We get the entrance music. It's a fucking banger.
I like it.
I don't know if it's Def Rebel. And if it's Def Rebel...
It's Def Rebel. You can tell because of the catchphrase they play in the beginning.
Unfortunately, it cooks.
That's the thing is that, like, 10% of the time, Def Rebel cooks. Like, you think of now Blake Monroe's theme. You think of Julia's theme. Heck, even Braun Breaker's theme. But it's like some of the superstars you can tell Def Rebel has a style that makes entrances unsuccinct. Like, that's the problem people are having at Royal Rumbles now, is that we no longer know who's entering by theme music alone.
Yeah.
We have to wait till they show the Tron. And it's like...
That's bad.
Yeah.
That is very bad.
And it's like that's the reason people have a problem with Def Rebel, is Royal Rumbles used to be once the music hit, you instantly know. Now there's like a 5-second delay until the camera shows the Tron.
Retrospectively, CFO dollar signs, or CFOS, however you say it, they weren't that bad. Looking back on it, a majority of their songs, I like. Like, they're good. Sure, they're like 30-second loops that they play for 2 minutes, and it gets repetitive at times. But their formula works.
Yes, it was...
Johnny's theme was fire. Tommaso's theme is fire. It still survived. Some of the CFO dollar signs themes survive.
Mm-hmm.
They have survived. Like, Asuka's has her CFO
theme back.
Who else has their CFO theme? I know it's not just Asuka. I can't remember. I'll do research.
Yeah.
That'll be like a whole short that I'll do.
Yeah.
I'll tease you with some content. That'll be a whole short. But Blake makes her entrance and makes a very Tony Storm-esque line that did not go over well. It just like didn't get any response. She said, we all know that this is the best women's division in the world, and I've been waiting to jump into bed with these women. And it's a very Tony Storm-esque line. And I'm like, I loved it. I laughed.
This segment was great.
I laughed. Like, I understand Blake Monroe's character because Mariah May was one of the few people I was watching in AEW. Like, I'd keep up with their stuff. Like, I keep up with Hayter. I keep up with Darby, but Darby just got done climbing Everest, so he's not back yet.
Yeah.
Even though I don't like half the shit Darby does.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, bruh, you're good. But
You also follow Swerve a little bit.
Swerve is cool. I like Hangman. I've never been that big of a Kenny fan. I've also never been that big of a Okada fan.
Mm-hmm.
But I also like Tony Storm. Moxley is okay, but this run with the Death Riders is shit. It is just bad.
Yeah.
But I don't watch a lot of AEW.
But the actual signing of the contract
goes quick.
Yeah, it's quick, goes uninterrupted. She gives a little speech being like, I'm glad I'm here, signs it, hands the contract
like
back.
Like a thief in the night! That is my rendition of Fatal Influences.
If you had more confidence, probably wouldn't have been that bad.
Oh, it's not a confidence thing. I have purposely sounded like that. It is the highest pitched, whiniest sounding vocals for like the first few things. But Fatal Influence makes their way out.
Yep.
And JC says, this is my division. Fallon says, no one celebrated me like this when I was NXT North American Women's Champion.
Yep.
And Jasmine says, look, these two are going to put you in their place. No, all three of us are going to put you in your place. Who are you to try to come in and take what Fatal Influence has built? You've built nothing.
No. You have been jobber characters up until 2 weeks ago.
You built an NXT Women's title run. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Yep. And then the funniest thing ever, they're going back and forth. Blake drops two hilarious lines of like, I guess it's true what they said about Fatal Influence. They're as big of whiners as they are
bitches.
Yeah.
No, you're as dumb as you are idiot. Or you're as dumb as you are bitches.
Yep. And then they go back and forth a little bit, and Blake does another joke of like, hey JC, have you ever tried this one?
Yeah, because JC says you're just like every other signee around here, just a flavor of the month. And Blake says, yeah, have you ever tried this flavor? Bop. And then they put her through a table.
Yeah.
Which I thought was very interesting.
To be fair, Blake was holding her own against all three people. But of course, numbers advantage. She gets put through the table. And that's how we end the show. Like, credits start rolling on a close-up shot of Blake knocked the F out.
Yeah. Very interesting way to end the show. But I think this leads to Blake versus...
Because technically, post-Fatal 4-Way, we still have 2 weeks. And NXT is known for changing who holds the title on a dime. So that's why we say with JC being who the opponent is for the Fatal 4-Way winner, asterisks.
Yeah, I think we're going to get a title match soon. But I think we see Blake versus Fallon next week. And then... maybe Jasmine versus Blake and then title match? I don't know. But yeah, that's it for this episode of NXT, and that's it from us here at Disqualified. I am Your main roster predictions champion, that is two-time winner of this. That is your NXT predictions champion, Trevin. I don't think I said my name. I'm Caleb. And that is our producer, Zach, who is beltless. And we will see you next time. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell 3 times so you know the match is over. Thank you for your time, and peace.
Bye.